Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Plays, K's, and Fadeaways, brought to you by the Clutch Factor Sports Team. I am one of your many co-hosts of the evening, David Nunez. How are you guys doing today? Hope everybody's well. Hope everybody's safe. If you're living in New Jersey, we got good news today. We are entering phase 2, I want to say. We're back where Florida is right now, which is at 25% capacity. But
we're past that.
So we're a step behind Florida then. But
I think we're always going to be a step behind Florida with that.
Now, Florida, we're at 100% outside capacity for eating and 50% inside.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's insane.
Yeah, wow.
Nice.
Already. Oof.
Almar, how are we doing?
We're doing all right. The spirits are lifting up. Everything's going to open up pretty soon. So
y'all got y'all stay-at-home order lifted?
I didn't really follow it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, y'all got y'all stay-at-home order lifted today.
Yeah, I never followed it. Don't worry about it.
Jack, how we doing, Jack?
I'm doing all right. I went to the driving range today for the first time since January, so that was nice.
Jack, you're like 5 steps behind me.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely feeling it in the shoulder blades, so that's going to be tough tomorrow morning, but I'm doing all right. Happy to see this next step in the process. Hopefully signs of things to come.
How about you, Quay? How we doing, bud?
Hey, man. I was doing good. I played basketball today for the first time in 2 months, and my body's really sore, and I'm going to feel it in the morning, But, I'm living lavish. I'm just ready to come back home. Can't wait to come back, yo. My flight, I'm thinking about it every day, but I can't wait to come back, yo.
Absolutely. We got a lot to talk about today. We got pretty fun topics, pretty interesting topics.
We do.
I think we're going to start it off with some breaking news that we heard on Tuesday, which is the day we record. Dalvin Cook is planning on sitting out this season unless he gets Christian McCaffrey money. With that happening, that is basically going to add another reset in the running back market, which as a Giants fan, I'm very worried about because we have a top 3 running back in football. Excuse me. What are you guys' thoughts on it? Almar, we're both Giant fans. Saquon's contract is up within the next couple of years. What do you feel?
Oh, man. I am really, really worried that we have to end up being forced to play top dollar for Saquon Barkley because the market is reset and we can't pay the rest of our roster. I'm really curious to see how this all turns out for Dalvin Cook because it could probably end up like what happened to Melvin Gordon where it doesn't work out, or it ends up resetting the market and the Giants now have to pay their superstar home run hitter running back possibly $20 to $25 million,
which is scary
for a short lifespan at running back.
Right,
I'm worried.
The only thing that fears me with the whole Dalvin Cook situation is that I believe he tore his ACL twice. I know he tore his ACL
once.
Was it once? Yeah. So he tore his ACL once. Granted, he bounced back immensely. He had a top 5 running back season last year, but it is scary to think about. Jack, you also have at one point a top 5 running back and also a running back who sat out the season. How do you feel about this?
My overall thought on the whole matter, the first thing I thought about is if I have a son and he plays football, I am not allowing him to play running back. There is no way he will be playing running back because if my son ends up being a star and he goes to the NFL, he'll see that running backs have the shortest lifespan in the sport and they don't get paid. And it's rightfully so. And I get why Dalvin Cook wants to be paid. He had a great season last year. And when he's on the field, he's effective. But you can't be looking for Christian McCaffrey money when A, you haven't been as healthy, B, you're not as versatile or impactful to the game, and C, it just doesn't make sense for a team to pay a running back $16 million, especially a team like the Vikings who have so much cap tied up elsewhere. There's just no logical end for either side. Like you mentioned, the situation, I think it's going to end up the exact same way. I think that if they don't come to an agreement, the Vikings aren't going to budge, and Dalvin Cook is going to cut off his nose to spite his face, and he's going to end up like Melvin Gordon, having a season gone in his career. And granted, you look at Le'Veon Bell, and it works out for him. He goes on and gets paid. Le'Veon Bell was a generational talent at running back. Dalvin Cook, although he's good in the NFL today, is not a guy that 15 years from now you're going to remember his name unless he takes a whole nother step in his game in the next year or so. Le'Veon Bell is a guy that you're going to look back in 20 years. He was the best running back of the era after LaDainian Tomlinson, in my opinion, and before this new wave of running backs came in. So I just don't see how Dalvin Cook is expecting to be paid $16 million. It just makes no sense with his history. He hasn't even played 30 games in his first 3 seasons.
I agree completely. And like how you talked about earlier about how he's not as impactful as Christian McCaffrey. For being honest, he's nowhere near as good as Christian McCaffrey. Dalvin Cook, honestly, the only thing has over McCaffrey is speed and the ability to have like a crazy run burst. And like you said about Le'Veon, yes, Le'Veon Bell is considered to be a staple at the running back position. That man almost changed the game at running back with his run ability and his run style. I've never seen a running back who would literally grab the ball, wait, survey what he has, and then hit a hole or move around the line. So it's just the way Dalvin Cook is handling the situations that he's basically trying to, for lack of a better term, trying to Melvin Gordon it. Basically, you know what? The running back market is getting reset. Let me try and reset it again. I'm coming off a great season. Let me try and get the biggest bang for my buck. So, Cinquay, give me your thoughts. Obviously, you don't have a perennial running back in your system yet.
Yeah, so I'm cooling. So we cooling.
Yeah, but you do have a running back, a brand new running back with a similar style as far as speed ability.
Yes, so Matt Breida. Matt Breida, who's also coming up to be a free agent this year. So I mean, we're not gonna have to pay him nowhere near top dollar. Like he's your average running back, you know. But the thing, Dalvin Cook, obviously the best ability in football is availability. He's not been available. That's fact numero uno. Number 2, he does not catch the ball. Do you understand that Christian McCaffrey comes off of a season where he had 1,000 yards catching and 1,000 yards running, and had over 150 catches? Come on, it doesn't even make any sense. Like, do you understand that Christian McCaffrey is the, like, if you need anything, he's the Panthers. He's going to run between the tackles, outside the tackles. He's going to catch the ball, line up in the slot. He is the Panthers. So the Panthers paying him, I understand that. And the thing is, the Panthers do not have the cap hell that the Vikings live in. The Vikings they literally had to let go one of their staple pieces of their defense this year in Everson Griffin because they do not have money to pay people. Mm-hmm. That is one of the problems that they have come across multiple times. They do not. And also, as a team with cap problems like that, and you're a team that's good enough to make the playoffs but not good enough to win a chip, you and your running back not agreeing on numbers is not going to help you anyway. So Dalvin Cook, he needs to pick a side, and if I was him, I would just cut my losses. You're not there's no team in the NFL that's going to pay you $16 million. So I don't know where you're getting this crackheadish idea from. You're not getting 16, you're not getting 15. You understand? Get these type of money are people that they literally run into the ground. Zeke gets used like a cheap person of interest. I'm not going to say, but he gets used to a crazy usage rate. Dalvin Cook does not have that usage rate. Kirk Cousins has weapons on the outside. You have Justin Jefferson. You have Adam Thielen, of course. Kyle you have Rudolph, Irv Smith Jr. You have Kyle Rudolph. You have all these players that can make things on the outside, right? Obviously, Zeke has those type of weapons also. But what's their mantra? Their mantra is run the ball. Now, is the Vikings' mantra run the ball? Yes. But it's not to the staple of a Dallas Cowboys type of team. So Zeke sitting out to get that money makes sense. They beat the living hell out of you. Like, they literally punch you. Like, you're getting, 700 touches a year. Dalvin Cook is never going to touch something like that. So that's why I feel like Dalvin Cook should just cut his losses, take his $11 to $12 million a year, and instead of Melvin Gordoning it, where Melvin Gordon got paid 2 years, $10 million, and was a top 5 back the year before that, you cut your losses, you take your $11 million, you go home happy to your family. Simple.
Right, and how you elaborated to it earlier, how nobody's going to pay you $16 million a year. If you're looking at the market next year, and the teams that would be quote unquote desperately looking for a running back, there's barely 3 teams. Like, the couple teams that are coming to my mind right now are the Bucks, Miami Dolphins. Yeah, Miami Dolphins going into the season. You could say the Redskins because we don't know how Darius Geis is, and at the same time,
Geis, Adrian Peterson, Peyton Barber's bum ass.
Exactly.
Got a lot of people.
Here's the thing, though. But those are teams that have holes, except for the Bucks, that have holes everywhere else on the football on their roster. Like, they had to address those issues. So it makes no sense for them to spend
that much money.
$15 million on a running back.
And
It makes no sense.
If I may, I have 3 points to add to this. So first of all, I piggybacking off of what Quay said and what I said with Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell worked for him because, like I said before, he was a generational talent at running back. And also, he preyed on the Jets, who had a terrible front office at the time and were just looking for a big splash. Admittedly, as a Jet fan, that's what it was. They wanted to bring in a big name, and they overpaid him to do it. They literally bid against themselves. So that's why Le'Veon Bell got paid that much.
And the thing of the Jets also was the Jets, what they did was they got finessed by Anthony Barr and decided, well, you know what? We're going to use all the money that Anthony Barr left behind and give it. And then technically, we just did the same thing we would have done.
No, yeah, exactly.
That's how the Jets went about it.
That's one thing, and that is one of the prime examples of a running back sitting out till they get their money. That was a totally different circumstance than now because, like Quay said, no one is paying Dalvin Cook $16 million. No one's paying him close to that. Second
no one's going to be willing to.
And it doesn't make any sense.
It's nonsensical to even think that way.
Second of all, the time that he's missed, have we not realized that the running backs that have spelled him have done really well? Latavius Murray played excellent last season and got himself a nice contract with the Saints. And then beyond that, even this year, you look at a guy like Mike Boone, who's not
Mike Boone and Alexander Mattinson.
You don't even hear, you've never heard of Mike Boone coming into the season. Him and Mattinson had great seasons in the time that they played.
That's what I'm saying.
So is Dalvin Cook such a great runner, or is it a good system for running backs?
Right.
The Vikings might be able to give him up and save the money altogether.
Exactly. Look at what the Chargers did with Melvin Gordon. It worked out for them. And then my last point is he wants Christian McCaffrey money, but tell me where that makes sense because I have the numbers up right now. In 37 more attempts, McCaffrey ran for 200 more yards and 2 more touchdowns, 0.3 more yards per carry. So McCaffrey is head and shoulders a better runner. And then beyond that, he had over 50 more receptions, close to 60 more receptions, 4 more touchdowns. Dalvin Cook didn't even have a touchdown reception last year, and 500 more yards catching the football. So that's a whole different part of the game that Christian McCaffrey could never have a rush again the rest of his career and still remain an impactful player as a receiver, as a slot receiver.
Christian McCaffrey,
but he has that.
Could make money as a slot receiver in the NFL if he wanted to.
Dalvin Cook is not a receiving back whatsoever.
Right.
And the numbers that you brought up, you got to look at it this way. Christian McCaffrey gave them 700 more yards and 6 more touchdowns. You're telling me you want the same money as him?
That's a whole other player.
That's another running back.
That's a whole nother player production.
That's a whole other player.
And on top of that, think about their games. Christian McCaffrey is a guy who hasn't really dealt with injury problems, knock on wood. Dalvin Cook has. And then Dalvin Cook is more of a power rusher. He's not a finesse back. He's more of a power runner.
You're prone to get hurt more.
So he's going to be taking those hits already with the injury history. Christian McCaffrey, like I said, knock on wood, has never had that injury history and is more of a finesse runner and receiving back. So that's another example why Christian McCaffrey got paid. He's more dependable. He'll be on the field more, and there's nothing in his history to show you that he'll be missing games. Nothing in this picture works out for Dalvin Cook. I'm sorry. And on top of that, the Vikings traded away Stephon Diggs because there wasn't enough food to go around for the offense. They drafted a wide receiver with a high pick this draft. So tell me where he thinks the Vikings are going to pay him $16 million. They'll let him walk out right out the door. Their offense has enough firepower already, and they don't have the money to pay him. So I don't know where he thinks he's getting it from.
And also, if you want to get even more technical in the draft, bro, one of the easiest positions to find is halfback. No lie, you can find a halfback literally anywhere in the draft.
Think about the running backs that fell to the second round this year.
Exactly.
All like stud running backs, guys who are coming out of college and people present to be top to the start of this and didn't even get drafted in the first round.
You can find a strong caliber running back even in the 4th, 5th round.
Listen, let's just go by this, right? The top 5 running backs of this year, one being Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry. Guess where they both were drafted? Second round guys. They're not guys you have to get day one. You don't have to get a running back day one. There's a lot. David Johnson was one of the best running backs in the league. Guess where he was drafted? Like the 4th round.
Third, 4th.
It was either 3rd or 4th, something like that. I don't know. Le'Veon Bell, guess where he was drafted? Second round. These dudes, it's mad easy to find a halfback these days. So Dalvin Cook trying to make his money, I understand it. You got to get to the bag. That's your almighty purpose. You got to get to the bag. You play your bag. What doesn't make any sense. When I first heard, he said he was trying to get David Johnson money of $13 million. That's a market
That makes sense.
Someone offer of around $10 million and $13 million is where he should
like
be.
11 and a half,
That's
12
I can
million.
get behind. Like, I'm not saying I would give him I'll give him like 11 and a half. If I really was being honest, 11 and a half, that's it.
If he said 13, I wouldn't be reacting the way I'm
Yeah,
reacting.
I wouldn't care. If you said 13, I'd be like,
ridiculous to put yourself.
We could numbers. You 16, I'm laughing you out the door. Open it, I'm laughing. Haha, goodbye, have a nice day. That's it.
It's just, I don't understand what his thought process is here, especially after watching Melvin Gordon last year.
Who literally said himself, I will never hold out ever again.
The same exact situation.
Melvin Gordon watched himself get finessed. Like, watched himself get finessed.
No, because his
Austin
backup
Eckler
did
walked
just
in.
as good a job as he did. Like, Austin Eckler was more than serviceable.
He was even more, he's more of a receiver. He's more helpful in the receiver game than Melvin Gordon is.
Yes, for sure.
And now look at the Chargers. The Chargers, if they can get their quarterback play right, don't be surprised they're in the playoffs. Don't be.
I like the Chargers, and I like the way they've built that team.
That's what I'm saying.
They've brought in some real
players. So instead of paying Melvin Gordon, they worked the draft. They picked up Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma to be that thumper linebacker in the middle. They picked up Linval Joseph to play next to Jerry Tillery. You know, they picked up what's his name? They picked up Justin Herbert, number four.
They already
4, right?
And they already have
no, 6.
They
six,
already have
Derwin
James.
Oh yeah, my fault. I'm wilding.
Derwin James on that defense, who lost the whole season last year to injury, who's coming back an all-pro safety. And on top of that, Bosa on the line is a huge impact player. So that
Bosa
defense
is
and you know who else? And you know who else we forgot to mention? They saved all that Melvin Gordon money and they dipped right into their division and got themselves an all-pro cornerback in Chris Harris Jr. Yes, sir. Yes,
wow,
sir.
Probably the best man-to-man corner in football.
He's one of the best slot corners in the league.
And you look at if Justin Herbert is the guy, they're going to be a perennial contender.
They're going to be a good team for a long time.
Because they were smart with the money too.
They didn't pay Hunter Henry, but they kept him.
Honestly,
they made sure they got that done. Then
they have
also
a playoff team except for quarterback.
But let's not forget the finesse of the season was trading for Trey Turner, who's a 26 All-Pro guard, and traded Russell Okung straight up. The finesse of the offseason.
That was a terrible trade from the Panthers, though. Like, why would
Panthers are dumb?
You're trading a 28-year-old, arguably one of the better.
He's 26.
Is he 26?
He's 26,
So
a three-time All-Pro.
A 26, one of the best offensive linemen, who's 26 years old for a 32-year-old lineman. Like,
Russell Okung actually, I think, is 35.
And on top of that, you're bringing in more money because I believe Okung's
Russell Okung is worth more.
Yeah, I think Okung's cap hit is around $13.5 million. So it was a ridiculous trade.
It was dumb for.
Yeah.
I understand what you was trying to do. Oh no, Russell Okung is 31. He's 31. But I understand what you was trying to do, but like, it didn't make any sense. You didn't get better.
Think about, to tie it back into the conversation about Dalvin Cook, think about how much better off the Chargers are not having paid Melvin Gordon $15 million that they now have spent elsewhere or can spend elsewhere where they have holes, and they have a potentially even better option in Austin Eckler in the backfield. So you look at the Vikings, why pay Dalvin Cook $16 million when you can keep that money for re-signing guys that you already have or filling the few holes that you have elsewhere? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
If you're not a dynamic running back that can run and catch, don't hold out. If you can do both, I can see why you can hold out.
The problem I have with
Barkley, Bell, those are the guys who can be holding out.
That's why
the problem I have with players these days is they're overvaluing themselves, and they're shooting themselves in the foot, and it's like a precedent. Like, bro, you literally just watched Melvin Gordon do the same damn thing, and it ain't work out for him. And Melvin Gordon is even more versatile than you. Why are you gonna shoot yourself in the foot and run off your money? Now Dalvin Cook, Dalvin Cook, instead of seeing you 16, if he plays around and messes up in free agency, don't be surprised if you don't see like 7. You might see 7.
No, he might get 5.
I do see where the thought process is coming from. Like, as the league moves on, obviously contracts get bigger, so everybody wants to get ahead of the curve. And it's happening as a Jet
That's
fan.
why Dak is trying to make his contract the way he's trying to make it. He's trying to beat the curve.
Yep,
I respect your hustle, but
And
you
I
got to
get it.
realize we're not paying you that because you're not giving us that. You're not giving us a bang for our buck.
Everybody wants to set the market because they know that by the time that contract is up, they're going to be one of the lower paid running backs or quarterbacks in the league, just because obviously the cap gets bigger and bigger every year. So the thought process makes sense, but these players need to think about it beyond just themselves, because thinking about just themselves ends up hurting themselves in the long run.
Well, theoretically, the cap does go.
Oh, no, you got it.
Increase, but with this whole COVID-19,
it's a very good point.
This COVID-19 situation, is it really going to go up? You don't know. You don't know. The revenue, it's interesting where the revenue is going to come from. And if the revenue doesn't increase and it stagnates, the cap's not going to go up. And you're going to have overvalued contracts. So it's really interesting how it's going to turn out for the next couple of years.
Yeah, but you also got to realize that football contracts are guaranteed. It's not like baseball or basketball.
No, it's not guaranteed money. I know that. But like you guys said earlier, they're going to overvalue themselves in a market that isn't increasing as much as they projected it to.
Real quick, speaking of overvalued running backs, the USC is expected to end Reggie Bush's disassociation from the school. So that's a big deal, especially in the eyes of the NCAA, given the fact that what happened. And
didn't he give it back his Heisman Trophy?
I don't know if he actually gave it back.
I think he did.
He stripped it from him, but he still has the trophy, I believe.
Yeah, I think didn't they wipe Reggie Bush from the face of NCAA?
Yeah,
which is crazy because he was arguably one of the greatest not even arguably, he was one of the greatest running backs in college football history.
You could definitely make the argument over the last 50 years, he's probably the greatest college running back to ever come out of college.
So over the last 50?
Yeah.
When did Barry Sanders come out? Because Barry Sanders was
demon. That's why I say he's not the best, but he is definitely
Barry
in the
Sanders
conversation.
was a demon coming out of college. Oh my God!
Right. Again, look at. I'm one of those guys who compare eras, and this age of football, the athletes are tremendously better. So
Barry Sanders is a different animal.
We're talking about Barry Sanders.
That's what I'm saying. Barry Sanders is a different animal.
And on top of just from a Reggie Bush standpoint, look at it from USD standpoint. They have not been successful really.
They've not been good
since
Pete Carroll left.
So that is their last history, and they wiped him away. And from a recruiting standpoint, if you're disassociating yourself with Reggie Bush, that means when you're recruiting, you're not going to be saying, "Oh, Reggie Bush was the Heisman Trophy winner, brought us to the national championship game, yada yada." Now that's a whole nother chip back on the table for them. Look at this guy who graduated from our school. Granted, it's so long ago. It's a legacy to follow.
By the way,
maybe
to go back to the Reggie Bush Heisman thing. Sorry to cut you off, but to go back to the Reggie Bush Heisman thing for a quick second, he did forfeit the 2005 Heisman Trophy 10 years ago. So he is not recognized as a Heisman Trophy winner.
Which is ridiculous because, honestly, listen, off of single seasons, him and Tim Tebow are probably the miraculous seasons, insane Heisman seasons. If you thought Joe Burrow's season
what even happened with Bush?
He was caught in
benefits.
Yeah, he was caught in the typical NCAA accepting benefits scandal kind of thing.
Which, listen, if you start looking into the closet, you're going to find some demons everywhere in the country. It just depends on how hard you look.
Exactly.
Because it happens everywhere.
Exactly.
Unless your name's Tim Tebow.
Unless you're Tim Tebow. And now, luckily, they're, starting to develop these rules where the players can earn, benefit off their own likeness. So hopefully we see that go through. But there's been problems with that too. I know I saw the Duke athletic director put out a statement about how not only he and other athletic directors have been expressing concern, but certain athletes from schools have been expressing concerns because obviously, what is that going to do for a locker room when you have Zion Williamson bringing in $1 million off of his likeness, and then you have the last guy on the bench making nothing. Like, it could create some animosity. So I see the point, but at the end of the day, like, do good and you'll make money. Like, that's just how the world works. I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you, but if you're terrible at basketball, no one wants you advertising their car dealership. You know, if you're Zion Williamson, people are going to want to see your face on a billboard.
Right.
That's the cold hard facts.
Saying that and his name is escaping me right now, but there was a kicker. I believe he was a kicker for
UCF.
I want to say, yeah, it was UCF. He had his own YouTube channel with over 1 million.
I don't know his name, but his I think his
Destroying.
Instagram is
He was the punter.
Destroying.
There you go.
Destroying. He was the punter.
Oh, that kid! I know who you're talking about.
And he actually once the report initially came out, I remember seeing a video where he posted saying that NCAA give my scholarship back. So
Donald De La Haye.
there you go.
I've seen a bunch of his videos, and this was a really big thing at the time that it happened because this is a YouTube channel that he had before college. He was making money before he got to college, and that's like saying – so, like, what's the difference between saying
That and having a job.
can't have a monetized YouTube channel compared to going to work for the local 7-Eleven?
Right.
Like, it's no different.
But to basically end this topic, Dalvin Cook is looking for way too much money. He doesn't deserve it.
He doesn't.
That's basically that's what we're going down to with this. We are going to fast forward into another topic. We are going to talk about the MLBPA once again. There was 2 new offers within the last week. I'll let Jack basically break it down for you since he.
More in the last 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. I'll let Jack break it down for you.
I had the tweets for the most recent proposal, which literally happened as we were discussing what we were going to talk about on the show. Like
Is this
minutes
the Jeff
before
Passan thread?
on. Yeah, Jeff Passan tweeted. This was at 8:35. I saw the tweet, and it's now 9:26 when we're recording on Tuesday night. The MLBPA is making a proposal to the MLB for a season of around 89 games with a full prorated share of salary and expanded playoffs. Sources familiar with the situation told ESPN it would bring the sides closer to a potential deal, and it's about 25 games under the last union offer. So then minutes later, he tweets, well, the MLB will reject this offer from the union. It takes the sides much closer to a likely number of games. As hard and fast as the MLBPA is on full prorated salary, the league is entrenched in ending the season September 27th. Important TV networks don't want to move playoff games, which makes sense. But you see these sides are very far apart right now. And I believe it was Jeff Passan. I'll try and pull the tweet up. He said, if you're a betting man, I would not bet on the MLB having a season this year.
My whole thing is this. As far as the TV schedule goes, you've had your own TV network for over 10 years. Put all the damn games there. If the TV scheduling is an issue. Another thing, if you're an owner, yes, your players want to get paid. Agree to at least 75% of the salary, but like, you guys have to meet each other halfway. Players want more games. That's what we're seeing. Other than full salary, that's what we're seeing. Players want to play more games. There's no reason,
they don't want to play a 4-game season.
Exactly. There's no reason to basically keep cutting the amount of games in half while at the same time giving them less money at that. Like, that you're not only hurting the game itself, you're hurting your relationship with your players and your future players in future free agency and
that you have to negotiate with next year.
Exactly. And that's another thing, because the CBA does end next year. Dude, like, if I'm the MLBPA, I'm sending in one more offer. If that gets denied, just sit out the season. Because at this point, today's June 9th. We're recording.
You're wasting time.
Yeah,
they've been negotiating for 3 months.
There's no reason.
We're not going to get a season by July 4th, and usually by July 4th we're thinking about playoffs in the next couple months.
We're thinking about the All-Star game would be 2 weeks from July 4th. So
yeah,
it's just,
and after All-Star game we're thinking about the playoffs.
Exactly. So you're just in a slippery slope at this point as far as negotiations, as far as the season, as far as next year's negotiations for a new CBA. Like, the way baseball is right now, it's extremely corrupt. Owners basically at this point are just looking to make money rather than spend money. If you don't believe me, look at the Pittsburgh Pirates organization and their payroll. It's very frustrating as a fan to see that the owners aren't basically catering to the guys that bring them money. Like that's what boggles me. Like that's what like just confuses the hell out of me. The fact that if I'm the Dodgers, I'm doing whatever the hell I can to make sure there's a season being played, because the Dodgers right now are one of the most marketable teams in the entire sport.
And also considering they traded one of their best prospects for Mookie Betts, who might never play a game.
Exactly, which is another thing. And on top of that, I'm telling you right now, if we don't get a season, no way in hell the CBA is going to negotiate a freeze of contracts. So
yeah, it would turn into a lockout, which would be horrible for the game. I talked about last week, and I've talked way before that about how bad a lockout would be for the game, and now you're basically playing with fire right now.
Right.
And although they don't have
cancel season and a lockout. We're talking about the death of baseball here, right?
That would be hard to come back from. I'll say that.
That's death.
The way we're looking at it right now.
Baseball might be shut. Like, it might be shut.
Yeah,
it would be very hard to kill baseball because right now, by the numbers, it's the second most popular professional sport in America.
Yeah, I believe it brings in about $10.5 billion a year.
Yeah, but with that being said, they've been on the downfall slightly. The NBA is on a big uptick, and a canceled season over the coronavirus, which every other league is seeming to get past with ease, and then a lockout on top of that because of that disagreement. That is a recipe for disaster. And like I said, you're playing with fire.
Right.
And although they haven't agreed on a deal, I will say they have reached some agreements, which are positive steps in the process. And the list of that is extensive health and safety protocols for players and team personnel. That's an obvious one. Larger rosters, potentially 30-man active rosters, and a 20-player taxi squad, which I believe would mean you could move players back and forth depending on injuries and yada, yada. It's another obvious one. The universal DH, which would be very interesting.
Which I want in general.
Yeah, that would be great for the Mets.
Exactly.
Right now, based on their roster. Regional schedule to reduce travel, which would be another drastic change, like the 3 divisions of 10 teams. So the NL East and the AL East would play together, and the NL Central, AL Central, so on and so on. And then the expanded playoffs with possibly 20 or possible 14 total teams in the postseason. So they do have those building blocks that they've agreed upon. Basically, right now, the things that they are butting heads on are the games, which is not even as big of a problem, but the salaries, because the MLB is like dead set against the prorated salaries, and that is like the only thing the Players Association wants is prorated salaries. They want their money, and the owners are just not wanting to give it to them.
And but another frustrating. I understand the frustration coming from MLB fan. Listen, you're contractually guaranteed X amount of money. Why are you not only taking a prorated salary at that, but you're also taking a reduced amount from the prorated salary? So I believe like the prorated would be like 7 point something million for a guy making $35 million a year. On top of that, they're asking you to also take an additional 33% off from that. So you're looking at about $5 million for a Mike Trout. So you mean to tell me Mike Trout, who is easily one of the greatest baseball players to play in our generation, the next generation before, and you're asking him to take literally a seventh of his original salary? It's ridiculous. Like there's no way that the league is going to recover from this because of that sole reasoning alone. So it's basically like
if you look at it from a strictly business perspective, the players agreeing to a prorated salary in general, but like a full prorated salary in general, is like meeting in the middle already. Asking them to take 75 or 80, that's a slap in the face.
Right. And it's
reasonable to be paid the amount of days that you work. That's perfectly reasonable, especially with this entire global situation that we're in.
Right.
But
and on top of that,
you're
still going to be making, even with no fans in the stands, you're still going to be making about 8 figures, 9 figures off of things you're selling. Oh my goodness, merchandise, TV deals, endorsement deals, your sponsorships. You're still making shit tons of money. There's no reason to.
It's not going to be as much, but you're still making revenue.
Yeah, you're missing that admissions money, but still, like, you're not making $0.
And I'll tell you, listen, the only way the admission money will actually hurt you if you're the Yankees or if you're the Dodgers, who, if I'm not mistaken, have the two highest ticketed prices in the entire Major League Baseball. So I believe the most expensive ticket, from my personal knowledge, at Citi Field is, I want to say, maybe $300 something during on a weekend game, and about $150 during the week.
That's a cheap Yankee ticket.
$150 literally gets you a seat right behind home plate during the week, and $300 gets you a seat behind home plate during on a weekend game or a high caliber game. So
Dude, I can't even get a decent view of the field for $300.
Exactly. So it's just like you're losing a decent amount of money, but you're not losing an astronomical amount where you cannot recover.
And if you really want to weep and moan about it, bro, you can get 25% capacity in there. If you really want to weep and moan about it, bro, you can get 25% capacity. You can get 50% capacity.
I mean, some of these teams don't even get 50% capacity.
Life is not at the point of 0% capacity. I promise you. If you give it some time, you talk to the governors of your state and all that other stuff, they might be down to allow 25% to 50% capacity.
Well, but some of these teams don't even get to 50% capacity on average for their team anyway.
Yeah, if you go to the Baltimore Orioles, they get like 3% capacity because who the hell wants to watch an Orioles
game? The Miami Marlins haven't had 25% capacity since I've been alive.
Even That's what I'm saying.
They're the
Miami Marlins have one of the best stadiums ever and have one of the shittiest teams to ever put out to play there.
Derek Jeter, thank you for trading away all the players.
I'm sure that
no games, bro. You got garbage, everything garbage for everybody.
If you said that 25% of fans were allowed in the stadium, I'm sure every park in America would sell out, though, just because of the situation where we've been robbed of baseball for so long. I was talking about
you're implying that the Marlins will sell out a game.
Yeah, would be the only circumstance they could. I said a couple of weeks ago, when we do get back to arenas and whatever, even when they're like open to full capacity, you're going to see sellouts for weeks and months because people are going to be missing this so much now.
Years.
When it comes back,
hold on, years.
Yeah, because when it comes back, it's going to be like, wow, think about how it was taken away from us and we wanted it so bad. Think about how many people are saying right now, the first chance I get, I'm going to be in that stadium.
I'm buying it. Like, they don't care the price.
It's going to be oh my God, it's gonna be.
You know, they got that stimmy money.
They got that unemployment money.
Facts. They got the unemployment, the stimmy, all of it.
So the unemployment tax and the stimulus money are gonna be used on tickets.
Oh, for sure.
That's how it was meant to be. So just to clear up what I said before, I said Jeff Passan tweeted about how the season is looking good. It was actually John Heyman, and his tweet came from an article or an interview that he did on the radio. And from the interview, there's a quote from him. He said, this was back on May 28th. So this was a couple of proposals ago. But he said, the call was last night. I was getting text. I got a text from a player, and I think they're going to get a deal. I think they're going to work it out. I can't believe they're going to blow it up over economics. But from a very smart player, he said to me, on call now, I think the chances for a season are pretty close to zero. That was the entire text. And then on top of that, he said, it's not going well. I'll say that. I'm taking a step back. He is in the middle of it. Taking a step back, I believe both sides understand they need to play games if they can in terms of their health. They cannot blow it up over money. They just cannot do it. And then on top of that, he tweeted just today. Hold on, let me find it. John Heyman tweets a lot, by the way.
I wouldn't know. I'm blocked from his Twitter account after I called him out for being a terrible analyst.
So he tweeted literally an hour ago after this last proposal came in, and he said, initial reacts from ownership source following player's latest proposal, we're nowhere.
So an hour ago.
That is not a good sign.
Wait, so we're nowhere on June 9th.
And they wanted to play games in July. They wanted the season to start by July. We were talking about this before we got on. Even if they got a deal done within the next hour, you would not be playing games by.
And we've been negotiating since we'll say the beginning of April to be nice. No, we'll say the beginning of April to be nice. And we're nowhere on June 9th.
It's just I don't understand how they're going to play.
Where do we put the blame on first? Who do we blame first?
They're going to need 3 weeks of spring training. So 3 weeks of spring training brings you, assuming it takes them a week to get a deal done, you're halfway through July. And how many games could you possibly play if you want the season to be –
barely 45.
If the owners are dead set on the season ending on September 27th, you're not even going to get a quarter of a season in. And
It's coming to the point where like you're not even going to be playing baseball like to compete. You're just going to be playing straight exhibition games.
it would be like a high school season.
Yeah, there would be no enjoyment from.
More like
There'll be no
most like
enjoyment
a
from
college
players.
season.
Yeah, college
Yeah,
season.
people would definitely put an asterisk on this title.
Yeah,
You win
there
the
would
title,
be.
asterisk.
Yeah.
It's again, it'd be
Basically, if you get one hot streak, you're winning the championship. It's
Right,
ridiculous.
Wilson Ramos had a 40-game hit streak towards the end of the season last year, and that would be the whole season this year.
Exactly.
Yeah, he would have a hit every single game. He would be the most legendary player of all time.
Like it's coming to the point from like as a fan and a fan of statistics and a fan of champions and etc. It's just it wouldn't be fun to watch. Like it wouldn't be enjoyable. Yes, cool. I'm getting my favorite sport back, but like for what? Like I'm just gonna be watching a bunch of guys who know none of these games are really gonna matter because you're playing a quarter of the season where literally you go on a bad 5-game stretch and that's basically your season. Like it's just there's no good way to go about it. Like listen, we're looking at a season where if we do play, the Baltimore Orioles could wind up making the playoffs if they have a good 10-game stretch. Like
That's no cap. Yeah.
exactly. So it's just like
It is crazy to think like a 10 to 15 game winning streak would be a
It's
quarter
half
of
the season.
yeah.
Like that is hard to imagine.
That's ridiculous.
And it would be fun to watch. Like, not gonna lie, I would enjoy that as a baseball fan,
60
just
game
because it would be
season
so much
fun,
different.
but it would be gone. Like,
Yeah, and it
so
would not be the
fast.
same.
Yo, son, you
whatsoever.
could watch a season where the Detroit Tigers might make the playoffs.
Yeah, especially because half the league is getting into the playoffs with these proposals that they're throwing out.
The Toronto
would be
Blue
cool
Jays
to
will make a
watch.
deep playoff run.
It would be cool to watch, and they'd make a decent amount of revenue. But historically, like I think Quay said, there would always be an asterisk next to anything that happens this season.
Yeah, anything.
And, like, the
MVP,
stats,
asterisk.
none of the stats would count. So, like, how do you do this?
There is no MVP.
The batting title winner will have like an average of like 450 or
exactly.
like something ridiculous.
There's
like
going to be some insane numbers if they end up playing. And
Just
John
like
Heyman,
think about it, like literally, your lead leaguers would have like a 450 batting average,
500. We'll say
25
500.
home runs, 25 home runs, and like 65 RBIs, and that would be considered wow, like that was a great season for this season.
yeah,
Like those Gary Sanchez and like like a handful
Yo,
of games.
Derek Dietrich might be the best player of all time.
Right. Like it just would not be fun to watch. Like
just to fill David in, because I know he won't see this because John Heyman hasn't blocked on Twitter. He also tweeted, like the owner's last proposal, it's a decent step. That said, it's going too slow, and the owners and players still aren't close. So
I'm blaming the owners, bro.
take that as you will. John Heyman
mind
and
you,
Jeff Passan are both right there like flies on the wall in these conversations, and for both of them to be saying that they're not close does not give me a vote of confidence as we sit here at 9:42 on June 9th, and we're nowhere. Literally, in the words of an MLB owner, we are nowhere.
right.
we are going to end up having a World Series best case scenario in a snowstorm.
They
Nah,
have
they're
to,
just gonna play the Tropicana Field.
they
no
should
cap.
move into Disney World with the NBA, and they could all
forget
hang
it, right?
out down there, have the World Series in December.
Listen, what I've realized is that, and what I don't think like the owners understand is that if they would have agreed to basically the initial MLBPA offer, I'm telling you right
114?
now, 114, and I was at 80% of the salary. I'm letting you know, right? They would have had a lot of money given the fact that it would have been the only sport playing during this time. Because listen, if they wanted to start, we would have already been in spring training.
Yeah,
Because if
they
I'm
would
not
have
wrong,
started
they
like a
wanted to
couple
start-
They'd have been
They
making
wanted to start
racks.
spring training in the beginning of June and start the actual season in the beginning of July.
And that's not a bad proposal.
And even in the beginning of July, the NBA doesn't come back to the 31st.
Right.
NHL doesn't come back to the 31st. The only thing you have to rival with is UFC, and UFC fights on Saturday, and that's it.
Exactly. Like you would have made so much money given the fact that you were the only live sport around. People were
You're
going to
the
be
only live sport
invested
in
the
America.
sport. People would be invested into the sport because they are betting on games. Like
Oh, I'm betting a lot of money.
exactly.
Without a question.
So, like
Parlays all day.
it blows my mind. Like bro, you got to look at it from I understand the economical standpoint of being an owner. Granted, I'm not a billionaire. I don't know what exactly is going on in these negotiations, but the amount of revenue you could have made during this time alone would have surpassed your original thoughts of what you would have made during this time. It's and again, it could be because I'm a selfish baseball fan. I want to see a season, but like you could have made a ton of money without even realizing it.
And this is from Andy Martino, SNY. He wrote this in an article. It says, on Monday, owners were almost certainly willing to guarantee 75% of full prorated salaries, up from 50% in their last proposal. The owners have wanted this to be a negotiation ending in a compromise and will surely be annoyed that it is still not. But if the MLB owners want to concede that point, they can have a deal quickly and begin spring training, say 70 to 75 games, full prorated salaries, and the expanded postseason. Maybe that's overly optimistic, but remember, no one wants 50 games. So,
yeah, that 50
it's
game
not
stuff's
looking good
garbage.
There's no point in having 50 games. Like what?
50 games, you
You
might
gotta
as well
understand,
not
this
have
is
it
not
either.
the NBA where you
Right,
play 82. So 50 games for NBA is valid. That's fine. You're playing 162 games. You're telling me that you're cutting the season down by like 67%?
Hold on, let me bust out my calculator so I'm accurate in this.
Like what?
It's
I'm
That
not
is 30.
watching a
Hold on,
50 game
guys.
season.
That is 30.86% of the season. That's 31% of the season of a regular season.
It's
31%.
That is pointless.
That's
That is just
garbage.
over a quarter of a season. It's pointless. There's no reason.
Not even a third of baseball that is normally played.
And on top of that, listen, never mind injuries that could happen. Like, listen, and we talked about it before
So
the
you
show
get hurt,
started.
you're done for the season.
We talked about the show started, but Buster Posey, that they literally changed the rule for him. What if a freak play happens to one of the more marketable players in the league? Knock on wood. Mike Trout, freaking
Aaron Judge is out.
Well, Aaron
the
Judge is out of the season. That's not a shock. But Mike Trout,
Bro,
Mike Trout literally blowing out his arm, or like another Matt Harvey situation, like that. A lot of people don't understand. Like, bro, there could be a lot of circumstances in games that at the end of the day will not matter because the season will just always have that one asterisk as far as it doesn't count. You're not a champion because you only won 50 games.
let's say a pitcher has like elbow soreness or something like that, and he has
Yeah,
to
they're
miss a
sitting
couple
out for the
starts.
season.
They'll shut it down. They'll shut
You're
them
basically
down.
shut down for the season. There's like no time to recover from that.
Yeah, but you also got to think about it this way. What player is really going to take 50 games serious?
Nobody, exactly. Listen,
And
there would
you
literally
gotta
be no.
Like,
point
why
of the
am I going to
season.
risk my health and my well-being for years to come for a asterisk year? No, I'm good off that.
You get a blister on your finger, you're gonna miss a quarter of the season. 2 starts is gonna be at least a quarter of your season as a starting
Yeah.
pitcher. So you got a blister
Yeah.
on your finger.
For your
that's
starts,
a quarter of your
you
season.
said 50 games. You go 5. You have 10 starts. You have 10 starts. You're missing about 20% of your start of a blister on your finger.
And so now let's just operate under the assumption that the season is over and it's not going to happen because right now it's looking more likely that it doesn't than it does. What does this mean for the MLB moving forward? Is Mookie Betts a free agent after this season, having never played a game for the Dodgers, who gave up a whole trade package?
So you're
for
telling me
him?
there's more negotiating to be done?
I mean, that remains to be seen. Is
Regardless-
Marcus Strong?
Regardless of
Gotta be kidding me.
regardless of the season happening or
But
not,
this
there's
has
going to
to
be a
be.
negotiation for next year.
They're gonna have to figure out something one way or another. So even if they don't agree on this, they better man up and figure it out because nobody wants nobody wants this season to not happen. No one wants it to snowball into next year's negotiations for the CBA, and then that doesn't happen, and the MLB takes a huge hit.
Right.
But
Nothing that has been shown up until this point convinces me otherwise that they get anything done.
Like my heart generally goes out to like the first year players from last year, like a Cole Tucker to be for an example, a guy who literally is making his first legit shot of making decent money in the major organization. On top of that, he has to live off of maybe $200,000 and from last year's salary. So like the fact that he was probably making about 60,000 from all the minor leagues, from all the years he spent in minor leagues, on top of maybe
In the minor leagues, you don't make nothing.
Exactly, which is
nothing.
another aspect that the MLBPA
half the minor leagues got cut.
Exactly, and they were talking about even before the virus hit about literally just trying to disband from the minor league organization in general. Like, if I'm the Players Association, I would literally make sure that the minor leagues that minor league has a union. The minor leaguers need a union for them to even survive, because
They get seriously mistreated.
Exactly. Jeff McNeil, perfect example, was making $60,000 in AA and AAA, and he literally said when he got called up the first time in 2017, he said, "I'm just happy I don't have to work construction during the offseason." Those were his exact words.
That's
Knowing that he was
crazy.
going to make the roster the following year, he said, "I'm just happy I don't have to work construction."
No, it's
And
commonplace
that's
for minor
absurd.
leaguers to work as like a second, third job just to support their career. It's
exactly.
commonplace.
Because 60, you got to realize there's regular people out here who make six figures. You're
Right.
out here giving your livelihood. Like, you're dedicating all to this, and you're making like 50,000.
And if you want to read about this a little bit, Mets minor leaguer who was recently cut, Andrew Church, had a whole post about him and his minor league experience, which I did not enjoy reading as a Met fan, because you never want to read bad
Right.
things about your organization. But
I'm gonna play before you even start. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I just do want to say that Andrew Church did have a 7.5 ERA throughout his entire
that's also fair. But his story is one that you look at, and it's like, it's not even a Mets thing. Like, that is just a minor league baseball thing,
Right.
where the players are just objects to these teams, especially at the minor league level, where they're not making any money. It's a really poor system, and this has hurt it even more because a bunch of those spots have dried up. On top of that, the draft has now been cut down to 5 rounds, which takes away hundreds of spots from kids.
That was only for this year. I don't think that's going to be a full thing. I don't think that's going to be like a guaranteed thing for the future.
Even so, just this season, I mean, that's multiple hundred kids who would need money now. Think about how many stories you hear of guys leaving college early because they need to support their family. Think about how many guys would have gotten drafted this year in the 6th or 7th round that would have accepted the contract because they need the money now. And now what happens? They go into the undrafted free agent pool where they can be lowballed and they get screwed over. And then now you got to look at it towards next year. How many guys are on expiring contracts? Marcus Stroman, the Mets sold 2 of their best pitching prospects to get him last season, got him for half a year, and now instead of getting a full season out of him, is his contract going to be over after this non-season, or does that carry over to next year? How are we going to work that out? There's so many questions that we have to get past, and hearing that the MLB is nowhere, it's scary.
Right. Like, this, the only way I could see them recovering this is that if they cancel the season and literally start the CBA negotiations now, where
they were already far apart on the CBA starting last year,
where they will literally get a full understanding of, like, all right, you know what? We'll call 2020. We'll start working towards 2021. Let's start the CBA negotiation. Let's meet halfway on this. And honestly, listen, I'm scared for the umpires, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Listen, there's definitely gonna be a ton of talking about the umpires, but to just dig back on topic, it's just it's hard to see where the game is gonna go. Like, already, it's going down in decline right now as far as fan interest. The pace of play hasn't helped. If anything, it's killed the game. There's a lot of things that they need to do. They need to implement. And again, like I said before, the universal DH needs to happen. Get rid of that dumb 3-batter minimum rule, because again, that takes a job away from a guy who's considered to be a lefty specialist. So, like, that kills a bullpen arm. So it's just, there's a lot of things to fix. At the same time, there's a lot of things that you can change for the better. So it's baseball. If everything goes right, will be entertaining again. They need to stop monetizing the game itself, as far as the MLB being able to approve content that gets put out anywhere else. Like, if you look at Bleacher Report, there's very little baseball talked about, just for the fact that they're literally legally not allowed to, because MLB owns every single rights as far as streaming, as far as clips, as far as marketing platforms. There's no way you can make money promoting baseball without paying a fine. So there's a lot to change.
And in a world by themselves, the MLB would look embarrassed right now. But on top of the MLB coming to basically a gap in the road, you look at the NBA had a serious proposal passed with massive changes to the league. You look at the NHL, who totally changed their playoff format, accepted pretty much half the league into their playoffs, which is drastically different from their normal scenarios. And even the NFL is talking about radical proposals for this upcoming season, and they are having problems with it. So you take the MLB, who's having all these problems, and compare them to the other three main sports in the United States of America, and just the gap between them, it's a black eye for the MLB.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a double black eye because not only do they make themselves look bad, but the rest of the leagues make them look that much worse. And Adam Silver is running laps around every other commissioner in sports right now because he has done a genius job handling everything that's been thrown at him since he's taken over. And it just seems like Rob Manfred, nothing but problems. Roger Goodell gets nothing but hate. And then in the NHL, Gary Bettman, it also receives almost nothing but hate from NHL fans. So it's just
now, Adam Silver, but you got to realize Adam Silver was groomed amazingly by a beautiful commissioner before him, and David Stern.
Rest in
Jack,
peace.
you've had the pleasure to meet the late great David Stern, and you know how he goes about his things. So Adam Silver, he took heed to his messages, and he's done a great job. Rob Manfred and Roger Goodell, I think that they're best friends because they might be the most two simpleton people that I've ever seen even try to run a sports organization. But that's just me. They're just dumb.
Hold on. In fairness to Roger Goodell, he actually does a way better job than Rob Manfred.
No, he does. Rob Manfred.
Imagine Roger Goodell running laps around you as a job in terms of leading an organization. Imagine that.
Yeah, but the thing is, Roger Goodell gets hate, but sometimes I don't understand it because, to be honest, sometimes it's not really him, it's his owners. Because his owners have a lot of problems. I have a lot of problems with NFL.
That's my point. He's actually not that bad, but
it's not even Jerry Jones in as a whole. The Panthers' old owner was disgusting. The Texans' owner is horrible.
Horrible.
But then you have great owners like for instance, the Dolphins owner, not trying to be like a homer, but he's actually he's a good person.
The
Steelers owner,
one of the best owners in football, even though his team sucks. The Jaguars, Shad Khan. Shad Khan is a GOAT.
Hold on.
Shad Khan's a
Steelers ownership is always solid.
Oh yeah, are the Rooney family?
The Rooney family.
People. They're great people. There are obviously, but there's some owners that just stick out like sore thumbs. Like right now, baseball ownership is horrible. As you can see, they can't even come to agreement with money because they're just greedy old. I'm not even gonna
the Wilpots.
You feel me?
Hopefully this doesn't get censored.
They're
Wait,
greedy.
hold on.
Greedy,
I thought you guys were
disgusting.
trying to sell the team.
That's what I'm saying. They're greedy.
I'm praying
disgusting.
every night. You
got to realize in baseball you have garbage people like the Wilpons. Oh my God! If I ever seen the Wilpons, the things I would do to them would be illegal in like 17 different countries.
Derek Jeter, great player.
Horrible
owner.
Horrible.
Bro, literally,
he don't even know what he's doing.
Imagine if they would have kept that team together for one more season.
Oh my God.
Literally one more season. That team would have been a potential playoff contender.
They had two MVPs.
We're talking
on top of JT Realmuto, Marcelo Zuna. I mean,
and let's not forget that they traded Dan Straley. They got Dan Straley for Luis Castillo and some other bum, and then they traded to San Diego. They traded Chris Paddock
for Fernando Rodney.
Like, what is you doing, cuz?
Hold on. If they kept that team together for like 2-3 years, you're
you would have
talking
Luis
about
Castillo,
a World
Chris
Series banner
Paddock,
in there.
And then you would have bums after him. But you can get that handle. And then there's people that they traded also for nothing. They traded the kid Nick Anderson that's on Tampa Bay. Oh my God, he's raw, filthy. They traded him for Ryan Stanek, who I get. Obviously, he throws 102. I get that, but Ryan Stanek is not better than Nick Anderson. Nick Anderson is a closer in today's world. Like Ryan Stanek was an opener. He was an opener, not a starter, not a closer, an opener.
An opener.
Come on, stop it.
One thing
I just hate ownership, bro.
One thing I can personally attest to, David Stern was an incredible communicator. And you could tell just from having a 20-minute conversation with him that he knew how to hear what you were saying, listen to what you're saying, take it in, and he knew how to respond. He told great stories. He made you feel connected to him in a short period of time. Like, he was an A-plus communicator. And you could tell just from stories he was telling, like dealing with Allen Iverson and players like that from his time. Those were tough players to deal with, and there were problems that arose, and he handled them terrifically. And then on top of that, the way he expanded the game globally was through him. Like, he did that. And
Adam Silver
was groomed right under him, and he took those skills, and you could tell just the way he handles everything in the league and the way the owners fall in line. Like, he knows how to keep his ducks in a row.
I saw,
and that's something you don't have in any other league right now.
I saw a tweet from a Barstool journalist. I'm not sure if it was Carabas, if it was Clem, but they tweeted out saying, "Does Adam Silver like baseball?" Just so he can take
have him run every league right now.
Hey, listen, he
probably could. I'm not gonna hold you. I wouldn't put it past him.
No, we can't put too much on his plate because then that would ruin the NBA for us, and we don't want that.
The funny thing is,
the NBA is the most well-run league in sports, and it's not debated.
Yeah,
in the United States, yeah.
The funny thing is, Gary Bettman came to speak at Montclair State University this past year. I got to see him speak live, and he said that the 4 commissioners from the sports league, it wasn't even the 4 commissioners, the main commissioners from the sports league. So I believe the MLS was probably in there. I don't know what other leagues.
I don't even know who they're.
The commissioners around the United States have a group chain, whether it's an email or a text. And I could just imagine Adam Silver being in there, the odd man out. What are you guys?
What the hell are these guys doing?
What is your problem?
You can't even say UFC is well run because they're having their Masvidal problems, which I don't understand.
Hold on.
Masvidal is a cash horse, and you're just not doing
fighter pay has always been an issue.
Money is always an issue.
Well, that's actually
in UFC.
That's a
discussion for another day.
Since you mentioned UFC, that's actually a perfect segue. But with that, we are going to say goodbye to Mr. Jack Barteck. We will get into some UFC 250 talk. But
it was a pleasure, guys. Have fun. It was good talking, and I'll be back next week. If you didn't see it, Almar, I know you know about this. I got the Band-Aid from the blister.
Don't you wear a glove, my guy?
Yeah, I wear a glove, and it cut me right through the glove. It's the first time out for the season. You always get the bad blisters.
Just wear baseball gloves at this point, man. Just wear some hitting gloves.
Seriously. But I'll be back next week. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, man. Be safe, Jack.
Bye, Jack.
So, some UFC 250 talk. Cinquay and I are very upset because we lost.
Oh, I'm pissed. I'm pissed about UFC 250.
I'm so glad I didn't spend any money on betting. I'm so glad.
Yo, bro, I was one not even one fight. A finish. A third-round finish away from 1,200, bro.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that at the end. We are going to talk about the main card only, just for the fact that that's probably the more known card and the most exciting part of the entire.
Yeah, the main card was mad fun.
Listen, we're going to start with the first fight, and Sugar Sean O'Malley is officially
that
back.
man, Sugar Sean.
The final verdict of the fight was a TKO with in a minute and 54 seconds into the first round.
It wasn't even I wouldn't even call it a TKO.
It was
a knockout.
He knocked them
out. Hold on. At the time, best knockout of the night, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, but we'll get into
that later.
Eddie Wineland literally got zombied.
Parched.
He fell for the.
He didn't know where he was.
Yeah, he fell for the fake uppercut and just got destroyed by that left jab. All in all, listen, given the fact that Sean O'Malley was coming off a 2-year layoff from his last fight before this one, this actually made me a little more excited, given it for the bantamweight division. Listen, bantamweight division is basically wide open again. Cejudo.
It's murderer's row.
Yeah,
my
exactly.
God.
Cejudo's gone.
Yeah, 250 was a big showcase for bantamweights.
Exactly.
Sure.
Listen, you got the bantamweight division honestly is wide open. You got Sterling, who literally is the number 1 contender after the next fight.
Well, no, we'll get to that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you can put him as number 1 contender because you got Marlon Moraes.
No, he's definitely number 1 contender.
He is the number 1 contender right now.
I would give it to him.
He was number 2 going into the fight. Which we'll talk about it now because listen.
We'll talk about it.
The Maggie and the Rocco Martin fight wasn't eventful. It wasn't that thrilling.
Yeah.
It was a unanimous decision.
3-round decision.
Yeah, going to Maggie.
Magny.
It was an okay fight. We are going to talk about honestly, what could have been probably the best fight on the card, but ended very prematurely in Aljamain Sterling and Corey Sandhagen, which on paper just looks absolutely amazing.
Should have been a 3-round thriller.
That should have been a 3-round thriller, but listen, as soon as you hear that buzzer go off, Sterling absolutely pounced on Sandhagen.
Yeah, he played no games. And once he was trying to get to that, once he got that back and was trying to get that chin.
Mm-hmm. And Sterling is on record saying that that's his favorite position to fight in. He likes being behind. He likes being on their back.
Because he gets that rear naked.
Pause.
To close Aljamain, pause.
But Sterling just thrives. That man is very exciting to watch. And
he's solid fighter. Solid.
And to quote
to be in the top of this division, you have to be well-rounded. You have to.
Yeah, especially in that division. That division is you have so much potential in that division. You have strikers, you have powerhouse guys, you have submission guys, you have tactical fighters.
You need to have it all.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to have it all.
Exactly. And him being from Jamaica, he makes my brethrens very proud. The Wagwan brethrens. Yes, he makes them very proud.
So yeah, I mean, listen, that was again, like I said, on paper, if that went 3 rounds, we probably would have seen that could have been a fight of the year contender.
Easily.
But we're just
dominant performance by Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah, it was. I did not expect him. Me and Dave were talking. I told him I was scared of this fight. I was so scared. And and as soon as I seen Sterling take that back, I was like, yo, it's raps. It's raps.
No, he's vicious on the ground. He's vicious.
Yo, it's raps. Like, he was coming for that chin. Once he got it, Sandhagen went to bed.
Yeah, exactly. And he wound up getting choked out. Because, listen, and not for nothing, I give Sandhagen a lot of credit because when he did tap out, he tapped out literally with his last breath. Because he tapped out, Sterling let him go, and he still had passed out. So I give Sandhagen a lot of credit as far as trying to stay in the fight as long as he could. Literally, he did stay in the fight as long as he could before blacking out. Next fight we're going to get to, since we are just
Rafael Assunção versus Cody Garbrandt.
Rafael Assunção versus Cody Brandhart, which going into the night, we are already excited with one massive and exciting knockout. Literally, as soon as the round ends in round 2, you see arguably one of the nastiest punches I have ever seen.
I love the breakdown that DC gave on it. Oh, the breakdown was so
That was amazing. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. But it was just that fight in general, going into it, a lot of people did say that Assunção won round 1, which was kind of scaring me, given the fact that I did want to see Cody Brandhart kind of basically come back into form. He's coming off 3 straight losses after he lost the title.
Bad.
So it was one of those things that, like, he needed something to basically rejuvenate himself. And then the promos he was talking about how
he found new love.
He found a new love for the sport, and then this is a new Cody Brandhart.
Changed his coaches.
So
Cody Garbrandt is now working with Mark Henry, who's one of the better technical stand-up coaches in the sport, which is immense for his career.
Yo, Garbrandt, Cody, no love, Garbrandt, boy.
Yeah,
I tell you, I'm watching the fight, and when Cody went down and ducked it and said,
we'll see. We'll see it right here.
Please show it. Please show it.
This is devastating.
Very effective. Assunção attacks the body late in the round.
Bow. Assunção doesn't even know where he is.
And listen, if you just, I'm gonna try and break this down as best as I can. Give my little Daniel Cormier impression here. This dual kick right here, I do feel like if Cody did not jump, that would have hurt him really bad because that went straight to the kidney. That would have landed straight to the kidney, and then they both, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Assunção threw a punch too right before he gets
he throws a punch here.
Let's see.
But here's the thing, though. This is what you have to think about. Cody was kicking a lot in this fight.
Right.
And why is Assunção in southpaw? Because that front leg of Assunção was getting chewed up the entire fight.
That front leg was hurt bad.
Because of the kicks by Cody.
Yeah, Cody Garbrandt was laying down wild leg kicks.
He was kicking a lot better in this fight. And he has good kicks. And the fact that he was expertly using the kicks a lot better to chew up that front leg set up that knockout.
Assunção let his whole guard down When Cody did this,
Hold on.
ducked. The second he ducked, he tried to throw a short hook. It came off of Cody's chest, not doing any damage. It was a scrape. It was a scrape to Cody. The second Cody got up, all you seen was straight hook to his jaw. Bow. Hit him crazy.
Exactly.
And Sun Tzu had couldn't do anything
And if you look
else.
at Sun Tzu's like career record, he's fought everyone in the division that's a top contender, and
He
Cody
got
Garbrandt is the
embarrassed.
first guy to finish him. No, he's the first guy to finish him. If you look at who Sun Tzu has fought, let me go through the list real quick. So he's fought T.J. Dillashaw twice. He's beat Dillashaw once. Pedro Munoz, Brian Carroll, Aljamain Sterling. He's fought him and he's beat him. He's fought Marlon Moraes. He's beat him. Who else has he fought?
I'm bringing it up right now. So. Actually, after this fight here, that was his third straight loss.
Yeah.
So he
hasn't won He has wins over Marlon Moraes, Aljamain Sterling, T.J. Dillashaw, Pedro Munoz, but he hasn't won a fight in almost 2 years.
He has
1.5 years.
He has wins over Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah.
He has a win and a loss over T.J. Dillashaw.
Yes.
He has a win over. I just saw him too. Where is it? Or he has a win over Masvidal. So,
well, no, that was early in the career.
That was early in his career, early in Masvidal's career, well, both of their careers. But even still, Masvidal, when he was first coming up, was an exciting prospect. So that's massive. He was the number 5 ranked bantamweight going into this fight, while Cody Garbrandt, I believe, was 9.
9. Yeah, it was
9th,
9.
I want to say. So once the new rankings come out, I'm gonna say Garbrandt is gonna move up to maybe 6 or 7. Sun Tzu's probably gonna move down to 6 or 7, more or less.
No, I think a Sun Tzu might take Cody Garbrandt's place at 9. I think they're just gonna switch.
I don't think so. Just for the fact that there's the band, like I said, the bantamweight division is very open. You got Peter Yager, who I believe.
Yeah, but you gotta realize Sandhagen's gonna take a slide.
Yeah. Sandhagen's gonna fall.
No, yeah. Oh, I forgot about Sandhagen. Yeah. So
Sandhagen's gonna take a slide.
Aljamain's gonna stay put where he is because he's at 2.
No, I think Aljamain's gonna go 1.
He's gonna go 1 because whoever it's for 150 for 251. It's going to be it's gonna be Jose Aldo versus Peter Yager. Yager's 3 or 4 and
Jan.
I'm sorry. Peter Yager's a hockey player. Peter Yan is either 3 or 4 and Aldo is 1 right now. So
I don't even know who Peter Yan is.
Aldo is 6.
You sure? Let me see.
Yeah, Aldo's 6 on the current rankings. He's 6.
So wait, that's a bantamweight?
Yeah.
So wait, why is Sterling not in that?
Sterling's number 2.
Sterling's number 2.
But I'm saying, why is Sterling not getting this shot? This fight?
No, because so if you listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, the reason why Aldo's getting this title shot is because before the whole COVID-19 pandemic, the next guy in line was supposed to be Aldo for whatever reason.
And what's this Jan guy for?
He's ranked 3, but the only notable guy he's
all right.
fought.
No, okay, I have the rankings right now. So 1 through 5 is Marlon Morales, Aljamain Sterling, Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen, and Rafael Assunção. That's 1 through 5.
Which is all gonna change.
That's all flipping.
All gonna change.
Wait, Dominic Cruz is at 11. I didn't realize.
Dominic Cruz is like 12.
He's 11. No, he's at 11 right now.
He's at 11 right now.
Rob
I didn't even know they ranked him.
Rob Font is another guy who's surprisingly at 10. So once the new rankings come out, it'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
I do want to move on to the main event, and this is where Quay and I were very frustrated. Amanda
hard
Nunez,
to watch. Hold on, hard to watch.
No relation to me and her, by the way. Is arguably one of the craziest UFC fighters I've ever seen. Like, when I say the most dominant, I mean the most dominant. I haven't seen anybody dominate a fight the way Amanda Nunez has ever. Like, ever. And it's
in this fight? Oh.
In general, like, this woman dominates 2 divisions where people are literally genuinely asking, who are you going to fight next? What is there left for you to prove? Who is there for you to even fight again? Because the only competition right now is
maybe Shevchenko.
But
somebody she's already beat multiple times.
But those are snoozers when they fight, which is mind-boggling.
They're quote-unquote snoozers, but at the same time, it's not going to happen because Shevchenko's going to have to move up 10 pounds.
And Nunez is going to have to go down 10.
She's going to have to drop 10 pounds.
Yeah,
that's not
going to happen.
Going to get a formidable fight. So
There's no one on the horizon that's close.
exactly. Listen,
I mean, the closest you have at one, you have GDR Jermaine Durandamine, who got waxed by her twice. Second to her is Holly Holm, who got waxed by her twice, and then third is Aspen Ladd, who lost to Jermaine Durandamine, who got waxed by her twice. Like the division's screwed.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to tell you, she's gonna
There's
hold
no
the championship
one
for
left
the
in
next
the
like
division.
70 years.
honestly, listen. You want to see a good fight? Amanda Nunez versus Cody Garbrandt. Book it now because that's the only competition for her at this point.
Oh, that would be lit.
Like it's come to the point where like I don't want to say it's not fun to watch because watching Amanda Nunez fight is always fun. It's always entertaining because just watching her dominate is just it leaves you in awe.
It would
But
have been more fun to watch her finish in the third round, but you know.
yeah, that and
Oh, did you guys put money on the thing?
we'll get to that in a little bit. It's just
Oh man.
it's frustrating because like it's hard to see somebody who's considered to be the greatest of all time and have no competition. You can't say that about John Jones because John Jones and Dominic Reyes, I believe his name, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his last fight.
Yeah, that
That was a great fight. John Jones and Alexander
John
Gustafsson.
Jones almost lost.
Exactly. John
And
Jones
some
and
people say he
Alexander
did.
the first fight was one of the greatest fights I've ever seen. So like, yes, he's the greatest of all time because he keeps winning, but he's getting competition. He's going into fights where it's like, oh my gosh, is he going to win? Oh my gosh, is he going to lose? So with Amanda Nunez, you don't get that. With Amanda Nunez, you see, oh my gosh, is she going to knock her out this round or the next round? Oh my
That's what I'm
gosh, is
saying.
she going to choke her out? Oh my gosh, what is like? Is she
Mind
just
you, the talent pool in her division isn't as deep.
right? Right.
That's
So
something to take into consideration. This is the problem that Demetrius Johnson ran into
well, yeah. Again, until he met with Henry Cejudo, but
the second time.
the second time, yeah. Rose Namajunas, she's
115. That's
150. That's
She's
straw.
straw.
Yeah,
She's
no,
straw.
exactly. So
she's
it's
way too small. Nope.
There's-
Don't even. No.
there's
Rose
nothing,
Namajunas got her head bopped off her shoulders.
exactly. So
Unless you get Joanna Jędrzejczyk to pop on like 60 pounds, yo, or whatever
No,
the
she's
hell
at
she fights on.
125.
She's at
She's like
125.
a small. She's a smaller 125.
so
I
and
thought she was at straw also.
No, she moved up.
she moved up.
She moved up.
What's Nunez at?
She's at
135.
135.
But this fight was, I think, at 145.
145.
Yeah, well, this fight was at 145.
And yo, Joanna, you gotta put on some pounds because I would love to see Jędrzejczyk versus Nunez.
No, you
I would
don't.
love to see
listen,
that.
listen.
No, you do not want
If
to
you
see
thought
that.
if you thought Jędrzejczyk looked bad against Zhang, excuse me.
No, it won't have.
This is
No, there's
going to-
not enough time for that face to look that bad. It's
Exactly.
just, there's not enough time.
Nah, yo, her
not-
head was crazy in that fight.
No,
Had
there won't be
mad
enough
hematoma.
time. No, she's just gonna be flatlined. That's just not a good matchup for young Jacek.
But
I need something. Nunez is gonna run around with no comp forever, like forever.
yeah,
There's
listen,
no one on the horizon right now.
and I said it after the fight, and I it's just the point where like at some point just retire, just for the fact that there's nothing left for you to prove unless you're gonna fight into a men's division. Like
Yo,
there's
if you fight some bantamweights, I'm watching this. I'm here
Yeah.
for it. Yo,
like,
go against how much Demetrius Johnson?
no, Mitchell Johnson was small. He was what 125, 135.
125 also fought at 135.
Yeah,
Damn.
Mitchell Johnson was small, and he's not
He'd-
even in the
he'd
UFC
actually get
anymore.
waxed.
Johnson isn't even in the UFC anymore.
Oh, he
But
doesn't. All right, so
Yeah, he
then-
fights at 1FC.
yeah, nah,
Which,
yo,
by
let
the
her
way,
fight,
1FC
let her fight
produces some
like
great stuff.
I'm down to
Well,
watch her fight like a
actually,
sunset.
now that you say 1FC, don't be surprised if you see a John Jones and a Jorge Masvidal fighting at 1FC soon. Just for the fact that listen, they
They pay better. You get
Yeah,
your own.
they
You
pay a
can
lot
use your own.
better.
Hold on.
John Jones
use
just got released. John Jones just got released from his UFC contract. Jorge Masvidal,
Why?
he wants more money, and
I don't know if he's released yet because
No, he-
even though
he's
Hold on, let me
champion,
double
but,
check.
like it's not official, but all the reports saying he's getting released. Masvidal's looking like he wants out, so he might make his way over. So
as of right now, he's not formally released. I
Might have to fight some
yet.
Bellator, but if you fight Bellator, they're gonna wax everybody. Like it's not even fun.
honestly,
No,
like, the only
1FC is actually the second best organization in MMA,
Mhm.
and probably
And then
pays the best.
Bellator's third.
there's very few
Yeah.
exciting Bellator fighters. Anthony Pettis' little brother. I believe his name is Dante. Dante Pettis is actually one of the more exciting.
No, Sergio.
Sergio Pettis.
Dante is the football player.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh wait, Dante Pettis, like the dude that's on San Fran, is his brother?
No.
No. Different
Oh,
guy.
I'm about to say, I was like, wait, what?
His name escaped me. Sergio Pettis. He's one of the more exciting,
Sergio.
one of the more exciting Bellator fighters. And I believe Chris Cyborg still fights at Bellator, but again, she's in the same realm as Amanda Nunez in no competition.
And Chris Cyborg was seen to be like a man, and Amanda Nunez put her down.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a rough in the women's division entirely for UFC.
Talent pool shallow.
What I do want to talk about is her post-fight interview with Joe Rogan, where she said, "I could have knocked her out earlier in the fight, but a lot of people like to criticize me for saying that I cannot go 5 rounds. I went 5 rounds." And when I heard that, I immediately called Cinquay and said, Amanda Nunez owes us $1,000.
Yeah, she owes me $1,200. I swear.
Hold on, and if she says fight me for those $1,000, what are you guys gonna do about it?
I'm running.
I'm running. I'm running away.
Okay then. Hold on. Okay then.
I'm running the fade. I'm squaring up. What's up?
You are out of your mind.
Clean my clock, and I want the money. So
you're not gonna get the money.
She didn't say you had to win. She said you had to fight me.
Oh, I'm down. Clean my clock, please.
So it's one of those things. Listen, but again, that's another thing about Amanda Nunez, that she was bored. She was like, I could have knocked her out, but I'm just gonna keep fighting. There was instances in the fights with against against Felicia Spencer. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
The first round she could have choked her out.
The
second round she could have cleaned her clock. The third round, what pissed me off is when her mouthpiece fell out. That got me so hot.
That's what basically saved the knockout right there. Because listen,
the mouthpiece.
her mouthpiece came out and Nunez was charging. Her mouthpiece came out. She got bopped with a straight right, and like she was dazed. Her mouthpiece came out. She stopped. She went, my mouthpiece.
She pointed like, mouthpiece.
My mouthpiece.
Hold on. If you're in Felicia Spencer's position, yes, I will use the mouthpiece to get like even a minute break from this butt kicking.
She didn't get a minute. She got like 5 seconds. But still,
that's like a minute to me.
It was a difference of
Hold
her
on,
getting
that's a minute to me.
Because when I tell you Amanda was coming with the meanest left hand. The meanest left hand.
No, I believe you. I watched the fight, but I'm just saying that I can feel the disappointment.
That mouthpiece, yo. That mouthpiece killed me, yo.
But with that being said, we are running short on time here. Do want to make this episode decently quick. We do appreciate you guys listening. Again, Black Lives Matter movement. Keep fighting your fight. We appreciate everything you're doing. We support you guys all the way. Been another episode of Plays, K's, and Fadeaways. Thank you guys for listening.